Thank you. Thank you. Candidates will be asked to strictly adhere to their time limits. Candidates will be provided with both a 30-second warning and a 10-second warning during each statement answered. However, the failure of either the 30-second or 10-second warning or both is not grounds to exceed the total time allocated. The moderator will have the discretion to adjust times of opening and closing statements, response closing statements to other candidates in the event the candidate needs the allotted time. So please don't exceed the allotted time. Okay, let's go ahead and get started.
Can't should be refrain from interrupting the candidates with applause.
Yes, please, let's move this forum along, and I'm also going to ask the audience to please be respectful to candidates and turn off your cell phones.
Without any further ado, let's welcome up our candidates.
Good morning. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. I'm not sure who's first, so whoever is first, go ahead and give your opening statement.
I don't know how to adjust. So. There we go. Morning. Morning. I'm James Herring. I grew up here in Arlington. I attended Jamestown, Williamsburg, and Yorktown. For college, I went to the University of Wisconsin-Madison and earned a Bachelor of Science degree and Officers Commission, United States Army through the ROTC program. I then attended infantry officer training in Fort Benning and accepted a position in the Virginia Army National Guard, starting as a platoon leader, then an executive officer in charge of a 160 soldier unit and over $20 million of equipment. At the same time, I was working as a DC police officer, training rookie police officers, working the midnight shift in Anacostia. In 2019, I transferred to the Arlington County Police Department to be able to enjoy a better work-life balance. Not only am I able to spend more time with my wife and our pets, but I now have time to give back to my community by coaching rowing at WNL. Policing gives me the opportunity to keep my fellow Arlingtonians safe. Coaching gives me the ability to mentor the next generation of Arlingtonians. So why am I running for sheriff? Many people I've spoken to in the community are unaware there is a sheriff's office. If they are aware of its existence, they don't know what it does. They do not know that it takes roughly $47 million of the county budget, or houses approximately 200 people in custody, or has 160 sworn deputies. With these numbers, the sheriff's office needs to be part of the conversation on public safety. The invisibility of the sheriff's office has also prevented the public from noticing the lack of transparency from their crucial public role. Since 2013, there have been 8 in custody deaths in the jail. Were it not for the diligent reporting of Arlington Now, some or all of these deaths would have gone unremarked. The death in 2020 started an investigation by the Virginia Department of Corrections, which found the sheriff's office had not provided the minimal standards of care in that particular instance. The office submitted a plan of corrective action, but it's not available to the public. This past February, they settled a civil suit related to the death for $1.3 million. My entire career has been and is currently focused on the community and public service. Our community is not in a house door or in jail. As an officer, I see many people I arrest and interact with over and over again. As sheriff, my goal would be to reduce these repeated encounters by using the jail as a place to connect people to services and treat the root of the problem as to why they were interacting with law enforcement in the first place. We need a sheriff who wants to be involved in the future of public safety in Arlington County and who will aim for excellence in the standards of office rather than settle for the minimum standard of care and still come up short. We need a sheriff who sees the jail and the courthouse as an extension of our community. I will be that sheriff. Thank you.
Good morning. I am Jose Quiroz. I am the son of Honduran immigrants, a U.S. Marine Corps veteran, 21-year member of the Arlington County Sheriff's Office, a husband, and a father. I am also the first Latino sheriff in the history of Arlington County. This morning, I look forward to discussing how I am leading a progressive sheriff's office focused on rehabilitation and how I am investing in staff and resources to build a safe and inclusive community. As sheriff, I will listen to our and address issues head on to protect, serve, and help us avoid and mental health crisis in Arlington and in the rest of the country. And I am committed to bringing well-being of the people in jail is the top priority of medical services. Technology in the jail for medical emergency. While only one tool, this technology is an evidence-based way to prevent deaths of people in our care, which is one of the highest responsibilities of the sheriff's office. Staying connected to the community is critical to rehabilitation, and I am working to eliminate all fees related to phone calls and video calls. The sheriff's office is experiencing staffing issues similar to the Arlington Police Department and other law enforcement agencies nationwide. I am working with county leaders to explore incentives and other options to help us restore to full staffing level. I commit to investing in resources that will help my staff grow their skill set and to serve the Arlington County community most effectively. I look forward to answering your questions this morning, and I hope I will earn your vote to be the Democratic nominee for Arlington County Sheriff. Thank you so much.
Good morning. My name is Wanda Younger, and I've lived in Arlington for nearly 30 years, living in the same house that my grandfather purchased after being stationed at what was previously called Fort Myers Army Base. I retired from the Arlington Sheriff's Office in 2020 as a lieutenant and director of pretrial services with 31 years of service. I have a Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice and Law Enforcement Administration. I've obtained jail manager certification and had numerous advanced trainings to include leadership training through the FBI and the International Association of Chiefs of Police. During my career, I worked in all three divisions of our agency, the Judicial Services Division, the Administrative Division, and the Corrections Division. I was responsible for creating and overseeing the annual training budget of the Sheriff's Office, as well as developing and overseeing the annual budget for the pretrial services section. During my time in retirement, I've been volunteering full-time at the NAACP Arlington branch. The reason that I've decided to run for sheriff is because I have a worldview of the sheriff's office that differs from the other candidates. I have an understanding that the sheriff's office is the last line of protection of the Constitution for our citizens. And that historical context is what drives my motivation and my understanding of the sheriff's office in today's society. My platform stands for the proposition that I'm addressing three pillars within our society: improving the lives of the community, improving the lives of sheriff's office staff, and improving the lives of those detained. The Constitution dictates that I, as a sheriff, am responsible for the well-being and the protection of the constitutional rights of those incarcerated. That means that I'm looking after the well-being of an increasing population of homeless individuals and substance users who are placed in the custody of the sheriff's office, along with those who have a high distrust of law enforcement officers. Right now, we have a mental health professional working from 9 to 5 in the detention facility. The Constitution and the rights of those individuals don't stop at 5. We must have 24/7 healthcare professionals within our complex, and I will move to make that happen. It used to be that the sheriff's office was more visible in our neighborhoods. The sheriff's office is duly certified, not only in corrections and courts, but also in law enforcement. Therefore, it's time for our sheriff's office staff to become more present in our communities again, and I will ensure that occurs. In a time and age when the workers of Starbucks have unionized, our sheriff's office has languished. To invite capable sterling candidates in our office, we must change the at-will employment. If we do so, we will have no shortage of applicants wanting to join our office. Thank you.
Okay, so the first question. What upper level management experience do you have for the sheriff's office?
So an Army officer. That's what you told it?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, that makes it easier. So as an Army officer, I was a platoon leader. I had a deployment to Qatar where I was responsible for a platoon of soldiers, which was roughly 40 individuals, and we were maintaining 24-hour security on a base that I campaigned. Then as an executive officer, I was responsible for the equipment of 20 infantry line company, over $20 million in property receipts, ranging from small arms all the way to complex weapon systems. And I was responsible for directing the training of 160 soldiers. I then also served as a division liaison officer where I was representing a 2-star general to a 3-star general, where we were coordinating plans for tens, if not hundreds of thousands of soldiers and building operational plans for wars that we hopefully will never fight. So my experience, while not directly related with law enforcement upper management, I have it in spades from the Army. I have it in spades from training rookie officers in Southeast DC. That's my experience.
And you just
Hand it over. Okay.
So my experience is directly with the sheriff's office. First as a first line supervisor sergeant, then being a lieutenant, working in the training section with the people that we hire, recruits, making sure that they have everything they need so they can be successful. Promoted to captain, overseeing the medical contracts, all the contracts in the sheriff's office, chief deputy experience, and now as sheriff. I am currently working on the sheriff's office budget. So I am experienced on that level. These are things that affect the community, those in our custody, the people that we care for, making decisions for those that are incarcerated and making the right decisions. That entails leadership in the corrections field. Thank you.
As I've stated in my opening, I have 31 years of service with the sheriff's office. 15 of those years within the sheriff's department. Out of those 31 years, 15 of those years I served in the leadership supervisory positions. I was in charge of the training section as a supervisor. I was a shift commander, both on night shift and day shift. I was responsible for the budgets for both the pre-trial section as well as the training section. My leadership also encompasses ensuring the succession planning of the staff at the sheriff's department. I provided a program for mentoring that helped staff prepare for developmental and supervisory promotions. A workshop that included approximately 58 deputies who voluntarily took part in this program without pay so that they can learn more and be successful in upcoming promotional assessments. My supervisory also includes being in charge of the recruits at the academy, as well as a first line supervisor, lieutenant, and director of pretrial services. 15 years supervisory experience, budget for both training and for our pretrial section. Thank you.
It's time goes quick, doesn't it? Hey, what are 3 priorities for the office?
What are 3 priorities for the office and how does your experience help address them?
3 priorities for the office. Number 1, a safe and progressive jail. The number 1 priority, preventing deaths in the jail. I am implementing biometric sensor technology that will help those in the most critical need with withdrawals, the opioid epidemic that we're experiencing. A lot of folks don't even know what's in their system. So I implemented a urine screen process so that we can get a baseline of what is in your system. We can't care for you if we don't know what's in your system. So a urine screen, safe progressive jail, keeping families connected. I'm a father, I parent 24/7, and I believe those in our care also should parent 24/7, be connected to their families. So the video visitations that we have, removing fees so that folks can make phone calls and connect with their families without having to worry about how much is this going to cost. Do I have enough in my account to make a connection with my family? Safe and progressive jail. I implemented the MAP program, medication assisted treatment, community engagement. I have engaged the community through our breast cancer awareness campaign that I initiated. I've also been a member of the 9/11 Memorial 5K, so I understand that the sheriff's office has to be connected to the community. Number 3, officer wellness and leadership training. Prepare those that are up and coming, the next generation of leaders looking forward. Where's the sheriff's office going? The future of the sheriff's office.
For the sheriff's office. Staffing, hiring and retention. If there are not enough staff to man the detention facility and the courthouse, then there's a jeopardy in the safety of those who are in our care and staff who are responsible for the safety and security of those who are incarcerated. Mental health and medical services. It is important that we have 24-hour mental health and medical services for those in our care. As I stated in my opening, we need to provide constant supervision for those who are in our custody. And thirdly, transparency and accountability is what's needed within the sheriff's department. We need to be more open, we need to be more transparent. As stated previously, there's been 7 deaths in 7 years. Had it not been for the involvement of the Arlington NAACP through media reports, the community may not have known what has been happening within the detention facility. Thank you.
My first priority would be mental health and physical health as well. What I want to do, if I'm elected to sheriff, is have a medical doctor who's on a board of medicine, similar to the fire department, who has a doctor on the GW board of medicine. Their patients would be anyone who's in custody in the jail. They would have a trained staff that is in the jail, because as it is right now, if you were to have a medical emergency in the jail, they have to lock down the jail, bring the fire department in, figure out if they move you down or bring the fire department in. And it creates a whole logistical nightmare, and that is time that you're not getting proper medical treatment. I want a psychiatrist in the jail, someone who is, again, highly accredited, who can evaluate everyone who enters custody. So keeping physical and mental in the same category. The second thing I want to do is focus on staffing and retention. We do have a staffing and retention issue right now with police and with the sheriff's office. We need to work with the county board to increase the salary. We need to increase our recruiting efforts across the country so we can have more people. Thirdly, I want to have the sheriff's office more involved in the community. I want to have it working more with the police department. As it goes right now, the sheriff's office works independently of the police department. Police department works independently of the sheriff's office. I want the two to work hand in hand, cooperate more, better law enforcement service.
So following up on that conversation, how do you plan to attain and retain competent, passionate staff?
In order to retain and hire competent staff, we need to look at how our hiring process and our selection process is being conducted. I will do an overview to determine how that process is being conducted. I think we also need to ensure that those who are already working with the Sheriff's Department remain at the Sheriff's Department. We should provide incentives for those who are there to make sure that they remain at the Sheriff's Department. We need to have a fair and transparent promotional process so that those who wish to move in the ranks of the Sheriff's Department are able to do so in a fair and in a transparent way. We should also have a career development program for the Sheriff's Department so that we can help guide staff and encourage them to take on leadership positions, therefore having an investment within the Sheriff's Department and wanting to remain in the Sheriff's Department as well. Thank you.
So to recruit and retain individuals, we first need to focus on retention. As the police department is right now, we are hemorrhaging people faster than we can recruit them. So regardless of how many people we recruit, we cannot get them trained up enough to fix or to staunch the bleed that we have right now. The sheriff's office is in the same boat. We need to focus on retaining those individuals that we have because like a tree, if you cut down a 50-year-old oak, a sapling is not going to provide an adequate replacement. Someone with 5, 10, 20 years experience who leaves is not going to be replaced by someone who's hired off of the street, trained in the academy, has to go through all the certifications. So we need to focus on retaining. There's very obvious evidence as to what we need to do, which is to pay people more. Arlington's not even the highest paid law enforcement entity in its own county. We need to raise pay for deputies. We need to raise pay for police. We need to pay deputies on par with police. So it's not a choice between the two, but you pick a career that you feel is best for you. For recruiting, we have a captive audience in the nation's military. It is a very diverse group of people who come from all over the country. They come here, they like the area, but they do not have any idea what they want to do for work when they leave. We need to get into Fort Myer, Fort Belvoir, all of the local military installations and start recruiting from the military because they want to be here and they're a good, diverse group of people.
So we have some of the greatest people currently in the sheriff's office. These folks are dedicated, committed, 24/7 service to the county. The priority is to get more people to come in. It's very, very competitive. Every agency in the entire nation is facing staffing challenges. So we have to be creative. Recruit from the community. Get the community involved. If you're from the community, you're invested in your community. We changed the process where now folks can take the test to apply for sheriff's deputy online to make it easier, make the process easier. We still want qualified candidates. I'm not saying that it's easier so the candidates can pass the test, but access to the test. Folks work. It's hard to come in on a Tuesday evening or Thursday evenings and set hours to take a test and travel. So the test is now online. Recruitment is our priority. Last year, we gave a $4,000 incentive bonus to staff. $4,000, the county did. This year, we're getting an 8.5% merit increase. I fought for 8.5. County wanted to give us 5.5. We have qualified people. They need to feel valued. If they don't feel valued, they're going to go elsewhere. Morale of the people. That's the leader's job. Build morale, make them feel appreciated. Thank you.
During the recent General Assembly session, the oversight panel attempted to collect agreement between sheriff offices and vendors regarding a variety of services. Unfortunately, a majority of sheriff offices refused to disclose these agreements. Many of these agreements provide an incentive. For instance, our Fairfax County agreement included a complimentary.
Yes, please.
Sorry. For instance, a Fairfax County agreement included a complimentary cruise for a training session. As a sheriff, would you commit to expanding administrative transparency of contracted services? And before you answer that, take the time to think about that. Last call for questions. If anyone has any questions they want to turn in, now is the time to turn those questions.
So as someone who's spent my whole professional career in public service and government service, I'm used to the umbrella of transparency. I wear a camera on me for work. I'm okay with transparency. I'm okay with providing vendors and making that information available to the public. If we are doing what we should be doing as law enforcement, which should be first and foremost just being good human beings, we shouldn't have anything to hide with who is providing services on the government's behalf. The people in the jail do not have a choice. They're stuck there. We should try to provide services that are in keeping with the excellence that I think all Arlingtonians expect from their government entities. I have no issues with being transparent about who we're hiring or why we're hiring. That would be my platform to share.
Transparency. Every contract is available online to the community as it should be. You can go online, Google the contract. The commitment is to the community and to the people that we serve, not to the vendors, not to the folks that have the best bid, highest bid. No, it's to the community and what best works for the people in our care and for our staff. I'm open to complete transparency. I don't believe in accepting anything for doing your job. I already get paid a salary from the county. That's all I need. I don't need any trips or tickets or anything of that nature. Completely unacceptable. I believe in complete transparency. All these contracts are open to the community so you can review them as it should be.
Yes, I believe transparency should be provided to the community. I don't think that the community should have to Google information if they want to find information about contracts. I believe that the community should be provided that openly when requested from the Sheriff's Department. I had a recent conversation with a member from the American Civil Liberties Union, interestingly about this same issue about not being able to get information in regards to contracts from various vendors. As a sheriff, in order to be transparent and be accountable, you have to be open, you have to provide information that is legally authorized, and there's no reason to have to Google such information. As sheriff, I will support transparency, I will support access to data, I will ensure that the information on our website is up to date. The last information from the annual report from the Sheriff's Office is 2019. I think it needs to be an annual update so that people in the community and those with interest know what's going on in the Sheriff's Office and up to date, real time. Thank you.
What is your position on solitary confinement? Should Arlington continue to, sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. What is your position on solitary confinement? Should Arlington continue the current policy?
Solitary confinement, we don't call it that in Arlington County. We call it restrictive housing, but the idea is to get people out on recreation and engaging with people so that they can get better. Being in the cell doesn't help anyone. There are times due to charges or due to behavior that folks are assigned to restrictive housing, but they are assessed on a weekly basis by a Department of Human Services therapist, staff member, an inmate services case manager, and a supervisor. But we don't put folks in solitary confinement and forget about them. Folks are assessed weekly. They're given crossword puzzles, things to do. You're not just put in a cell and forgotten about. That is not the idea. That is not healthy for anyone. So that's my stance on this topic.
The philosophy of the sheriff's office is that when individuals come into the detention facility, we want them to be better prepared and better than when they came in the facility and when they return back into the community. Being in solitary confinement, restricted housing, it does nothing to rehabilitate the individual. And if in any case, it exacerbates someone who has mental health issues, or it can create mental health issues with continuous lockdown. I think we need to provide opportunities for those who are in housing for disciplinary reasons, but to continue to provide rehabilitation services to ensure that we provide mental health services so that they can be better once they return to the community. Thank you.
So I don't believe in solitary confinement. I don't think that anyone should be treated like an animal, because if you treat people like animals, then they will act like animals. If you treat people like people, they will tend to act like people. I think the only reason to keep someone separate from the rest of the people in custody would be for their safety or for the safety of the other people in custody. But you still would continue to provide services to that individual. You'd still allow them visits with their family, still allow them access to their attorneys, still allow them access to all the resources that they need, because at some point they will be back out in the community. And if we just lock them in a hole and forget about them, we're doing a disservice to everyone. And that's not the standard of care we should expect from our sheriff's office. That's not the standard of care we would want to provide as Arlingtonians. That's my opinion on solitary confinement.
You move on to time, Steve. Okay. Pillar one of the final report of the President's Task Force on 21st century policing is building trust and legitimacy. How do you, as a candidate, plan to demonstrate ethics and integrity as an example for the departments?
Ethics and integrity. That starts with the leadership, starts with the sheriff. If you have a past where you have lied during an investigation, while in uniform, while in employment, how can you hold others accountable for the same type of violation of ethics? So ethics starts with the sheriff, who has an untarnished badge, untarnished oath, who has not lied, not only during an investigation, but pointed to another individual and accused them of your own wrongdoing. In order to build trust within the community, I think it would be best if we host a symposium where we invite various members of our minority communities to give their perspective on law enforcement and how we can help better serve the minority community. In order to build trust, we have to be present, we have to be open, we have to be transparent, and we have to provide an environment where people can give their perspectives on how they feel about how they are being treated. Thank you.
Ethics and integrity are a critical part of law enforcement. I think we've all seen over the past decade, or past several decades for that matter, that you need to be able to trust law enforcement. Law enforcement has not been the best shepherd for that trust in the community. Oftentimes in history, it's been kind of a one-way street where we as law enforcement expect you to trust us because we said so. So to promote ethics and integrity, we need to ditch the no comment. If we can't tell people something, we need to explain. I can't tell you this, but here's why I can't. It violates someone's right to medical attention. I need to address the family first before I air this in public. They have a right to that information before anyone else does. So, and I'm in a profession where I'm not afforded, the opportunity to lie. I have no interest in lying. My word needs to be my bond. People need to know when I sit on sand and say something, that is how it actually happened. That is that's how I feel about ethics and integrity. To work that into the community, it's as simple as just showing up to community meetings and making yourself open for questioning. We have a very robust civic association network in Arlington County. We have a very robust county board meetings. Make yourself available at those meetings, answer questions, talk to people. That's how we promote ethics and integrity.
Ethics and integrity. I believe in rehabilitation, second chances, and transparency. I believe that people can learn from their mistakes. Being transparent and ethical in the community involves engaging the community, meeting with the community, every member of the community, north side, south side, east side, the west side, everyone. Being transparent and explaining to people the who, the what, the why. That is what transparency and ethics is about. Thank you.
Okay, so currently, there are checks on inmates who are detoxing every 15 minutes. So the question is, how would you enhance this policy to ensure no additional overdoses happen on your watch?
So as I said before, I'm not a fan of contracted medical attention, contracted mental health. I believe that we need a medical doctor who answers to the sheriff, that someone you feel comfortable taking your family to for a checkup. That person needs to be working in the jail. They need to treat everyone who comes into custody. They can build a case report on that person that can follow them out of the jail as well. We need to have something like that. We need to train up deputies. We need to also have nursing staff, physician's assistants in the jail. So there's people regularly monitoring. We need to view it much more as a little mini hospital rather than trying to view it as here's a place that has a clinic and some people who wave some thermometers at you and then they slap a bandage on you and call it good. We need to have medical doctors in the jail. Those individuals will know the proper treatment. And God forbid we do have an emergency, they will at least be able to provide prompt medical care at the point of injury until Arlington Fire is able to take them and get them to Virginia Hospital Center or some other local area hospital. That's how we deal with the overdoses. We also provide additional training. We need to provide additional training for recognition of detox, opioid overdoses, make Narcan more readily available to everyone, including people out in the community, and training everyone on how to use it.
We currently have Narcan in the entire facility. Staff is trained on Narcan. We have the 15-minute cell checks. We currently have urine screening so that when folks come into the facility, we can get a baseline of what is in their system. Folks don't know what they're taking. They think it's this and it's laced with that. So getting a baseline, urine screen, these urine screens are not used to prosecute anyone. They're used to help people. I'm also in the procurement process, as I said earlier, to bring biometric technology into the medical infirmary. These sensors would capture vitals, oxygen level, pulse, heart rate. It's a tool, but it's a tool that can help us save lives. Our contract currently has a medical provider. We have a doctor in the facility. We have a psychiatrist in the facility, and we have 14 mental health therapists from Arlington County Department of Human Services in the facility. So we have the tools. We need to do better. It's a priority. The biometric sensors are not going to be the answer to everything, but it's a tool that I will implement. It's being implemented as we speak. Thank you.
As Jose mentioned, biometrics is being implemented. And it is a tool, but it does not replace human care. As I stated in my opening statement, 24 hours, 7 days a week, healthcare should be implemented within the detention facility. we're seeing an increasing population with underlying medical conditions, as well as substance use disorders. As Jose mentioned, the biometric implementation, he called it a Fitbit. We need human interaction 24 hours to ensure that our increasing population, those with medical issues and those with substance use disorders, have access to care as needed. Thank you.
Given Arlington County's budget constraints, what other sources of funding could we try to seek out, for instance, grants, to help improve training and quality of services, in the sheriff's office and the facility setting?
I think there's an opportunity to always seek grants. We don't have an assigned person to do that, so we have to be active and proactive in seeking these things. The police department has someone assigned for grant funding and research. We don't. That is something that I will look into and provide. Grants are out there and they're important. They can help our community. They can help the facility. Everything involves money. We can't do things without money. And so that is a key component to find that funding, the grants to help us implement things that we need in the facility to care for those people in our custody.
The sheriff's office budget last year included a request to hire a public information officer. I would instead argue that we hire or request to hire someone who can be a branch specialist, because dealing with the opioid addiction, mental health addictions, whatever the county board could provide could be supplemented through grants. And if we need a grant coordinator who can reach out and obtain all the grants that are needed to make these priorities a reality, I think we should do that. I think we should be targeted when making requests for budgets that will benefit those in our care and our staff, as opposed to a public information officer, which is already the duties that are under the director of administration. Thank you.
So I must say, I'm a little shocked to hear that there is not a professional grant writer or even a grant writing team currently with your sheriff's office. I just assumed there was. We're right across the river from the nation's capital, and we're not too far away from Richmond. There was a lot of money under the CARES Act that was thrown at law enforcement. So we left a lot of money on the table if we did not have professional grant writers who are constantly looking at getting money from the federal government, at getting money from the state government. Additionally, there are regional partners. We need to reach out and ask them to help provide services. So we just need to be a lot more proactive in that regard. I'll say I am quite shocked about the grant writing. Additionally, other places that we can give money, they're looking at expanding Medicare and Medicaid to people transitioning out of the jail. There are a lot of programs that are being talked about in Richmond and in the District of Columbia. So expanding programs like that so people who are released from care can still have medical attention when they leave the jail is absolutely crucial. And we need to have people who are professional. I know enough to know that I cannot write a paper. I know that I need professionals who are capable of doing that and spending all of their time doing that. That is a high priority item.
Okay, so this is going to be the last question. People have advocated for police review boards. Do you favor an external body for review of the sheriff's office?
So I'm always open to public review boards. I think that anything that gives the public more trust in what we're doing can be beneficial. The police has a review board right now. It's still in the works of being implemented. But anything that can help assure the public that what we are doing as law enforcement professionals is right and representative of the community is always a good thing. And so whatever the community says that we need to do to maintain trust or earn more trust, I absolutely think that we should be on board with that.
100%. There's nothing to hide. The more we work together, the better it is for the community. The important piece is the people in our care, the people that we're there to care for. That is our charge as the sheriff. That is our responsibility. All for it.
Yes, I am in favor of a community oversight board. It promotes transparency, it promotes public trust. I'm also in favor of having a citizen advisory so that the community can be involved in sheriff's office reviewing policies, give input on practices, and connect each other with services throughout the community that can help better those in our care. I am 100% in favor for transparency and with the community oversight board that will promote transparency and build trust. And with trust, we can have a better relationship and a better community. Thank you.
So now we're going to go ahead and go to closing statements. Apologies, we did not get to your question. We got some really great questions, but the candidates will be here, so please feel free to ask questions after we wrap up. 2 minutes, closing statements.
In Arlington, the sheriff's office has limited itself to the jail and the courthouse, turning inward and away from our community. The office can and should be much more than that, giving back to the community. This can only help or happen with guidance from the top. We need a sheriff who prioritizes the health and safety of people in our care. We need a sheriff who will listen to the deputies when they say there's a problem. We need a sheriff that will not hide away from the community, but embrace their role as an elected leader and will keep the public informed of everything they do and fail to do. The office faces the same issue that most law enforcement agencies in the country are facing regarding recruitment and retention. But these issues won't change in the foreseeable future. Understaffing is no longer an explanation for poor performance. It's an excuse. We must adapt to the current conditions, or we will keep providing inadequate protection to our community, inadequate care to those in our custody, and shortchanging those who have committed themselves to a career in public safety. Arlington has the capability to be a national leader in the change we all want to see from law enforcement. We are highly educated. We have many resources. We're compact enough to apply those resources effectively. We need a leader, a sheriff, who answers to you, the voters, who has the vision for innovation and transparency, and the courage to enact it. Thank you.
I am Jose Quiroz, candidate for sheriff and current sheriff of Arlington County. I am committed to doing the work that it takes to lead the sheriff's office. I am committed to running a safe and progressive jail where people are treated as human beings and have access to medical care, rehabilitation resources, and free communication with their family. I'm committed to engaging the community through communication and transparency. I am committed to investing in staff to develop leadership and promote wellness. I have committed 21 years of my life to the Arlington County Sheriff's Office and the community. And as a citizen of Arlington County and as a Latino, I have a deep understanding of the community and the relationships with the county leadership and other public safety leaders to lead the Arlington County Sheriff's Office. I'm Jose Quiroz, and I'm asking for your vote on June 20th to be the Democratic nominee for Arlington County Sheriff. Thank you very much.
I want to thank the Arlington County Democratic Committee for hosting today's forum. It was an absolute pleasure to speak with you all today. And I want to thank the staff at Busboys and Poets for such a fantastic venue for hosting events like these. In closing, I want to leave you all with the following. The main difference between the other candidates and myself is that we have a fundamental difference in education and experience, and frankly, a fundamental difference in worldview. Unlike Jose and James, I've earned my Bachelor's of Science with honors in criminal justice and law enforcement administration and completed advanced training through the FBI and the International Association of Chiefs of Police. But most importantly, unlike Jose's 20 years and James' police and military service, I have 31 years of experience in our very own sheriff's office spanning all 3 divisions. Experience that included overseeing and preparing the annual department training budget and the annual pretrial services budget. My realization of the role of the sheriff is not just to perform specific duties. It's to lead the law enforcement head of the sheriff's office, to hear what the citizens of Arlington need, and then to use my experience in forming budgets to appropriate resources to meet the needs of the community, staff, and those incarcerated. Sheriff deputies must act as mentors in order to accomplish this. We must uphold the highest of ethics and morals in law enforcement. That change is what I stand for. Ethics in law enforcement is paramount to me, and the sheriff cannot have ethical challenges looming during their tenure as a result of their past transgression. Again, I want to thank you for your time, and I look forward to your support and vote and a greater respect for the office of the sheriff. Thank you.
Please give our candidates another round of applause.
Wow, thank you so much. 3 really great candidates. We're really proud to have these candidates in the room today. Please give them another round of applause. Also, I would be remiss if I did not point out how many people from the sheriff's office do we have in the audience today? Could you please stand? Let's give these folks a big round of applause. I am told we also have Deputy Chief of Police Wayne Benson with us today. Thank you, Deputy Chief, for your service as well. And folks, thanks for joining us for this program this morning. Thank you.